certainly seems like John Emery just can't really catch a break. And this is another downer for a five-star tailback that we thought was going to be the second coming of Leonard Fournette at LSU, because that was who he was. He was the highest-rated tailback to commit and sign to LSU since Leonard Fournette. And after what has been a really raucous journey for John Emery, we get the news that the man is blowing out his ACL for a second time. This happening at a Tuesday practice following LSU's dramatic loss to USC on Sunday in Vegas, and what was a thrilling game. Like, I really enjoyed watching that game. It felt like a playoff game. It felt like a game that could have been played for the national championship if we thought those two teams were national championship caliber teams. But both the quarterbacks were outstanding. Miller Moss going for over 300 yards. Garrett Nussmeier going for over 300 yards. Neither could really run the ball effectively. I know Woody Marks had the great run to end the game, basically call game, but John Emery Jr. was a revelation, in the third quarter, particularly as we were getting word that Brian Kelly was looking around going, why aren't we running the football? We should be running the football. I've got two outstanding tackles, and I've got John Emery Jr. in the background. Like, let's go. So Will Campbell and Emery Jones out there trying to make it happen. And my goodness, man, I'm looking around and I'm going, maybe they got something in this dude, because he's gashing people. He had 10 carries for 61 yards, and that looked like it wasn't a fluke. It looked like the dude that we expected to see for the past 4 years, and in and out and this and that, and get to this place where it feels like that guy is about to be your guy. And no, that's not how it goes. It's devastating for John Emery. It's devastating for LSU, but in more ways than you think. So looking at the depth chart after knowing that you've lost him for the remainder of the season after game one, you're talking about Caleb Jackson and Josh Williams being responsible for most of the carries when that dude was sidelined. And freshman Caden Durham is the only other scholarship running back on the active roster, and he didn't receive any carries against USC. So already you're in the place where Texas was, where you've got to be very careful about who you decide to give carries to and how many carries you give them. And you have to be extremely careful with them in practice, because you ain't got but two. Like, again, Texas is going to play a Michigan team this year with their number 1 and number 3 tailbacks out for the season. But we tend to feel good about what they have, right? We all know that Jaden Blue is a dude, and he's probably going to be RB2, if not RB1B, going into the season already. And I think we all like Trey Wisner. I think we like what he can provide. But you always want to have a stable of running backs, because these things happen. You blow ACLs. You blow Achilles. Like, this is, I mean, apart from, like, we're talking about Reuben Owens. We're talking about, my goodness, Cedric Baxter, CJ Baxter, and now John Emery, all having season-ending injuries basically before we get to week 2. And that's devastating for the sport. Meanwhile, this LSU offense is not like last year's LSU offense. Last year's LSU offense basically was the Jaden Daniels show, featuring Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. The reason that he won the Heisman Trophy is because there wasn't anything he couldn't do with a football in his hands. He could throw the ball over the yard, and he could run all over the yard. He had over 1,100 yards on the ground at the quarterback position. I love Garrett Nussmeier. That ain't his game. That ain't what Nuss is going to do. Nuss is going to have to spin it. Nuss has got more in common with Joe Burrow than Jaden Daniels. He's got more in common with Miles Brennan than Jaden Daniels. He's going to need time back there, but if you give him the opportunity, I think Joe Sloan can figure out how to make this work. It just means that your wide receiver core just became that much more important. It means that Kyron Lacey needs to catch 1 million footballs this year, and you need to do what Mark Whipple was doing at Pittsburgh with Jordan Addison. All you're going to do is say, hey, we've got him at quarterback and Garrett Nussmeier. We've got him at wide receiver and Kyron Lacey, and we're going to see if we can't feed them the rock and make you beat us another way. Because that was what Pittsburgh did so well when Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison were there. It was simply those guys saying, all right, we are 2 of the best in the country. Let's devise a scheme in which we can feed the ball to our best wide receiver using our quarterback's accuracy. And it worked for them. And Mark Whipple made that work for himself at UMass with Andy Isabella, who was damn near Biletnikoff Award winner at UMass because he was catching 1 million balls and they ran the entire offense through him. I know this is not where you want to be if you're LSU. This does not bode well for the rest of the season, as you're in the deepest SEC season that we've ever seen. And I thought this was the top 10 team when it was healthy, right? And with the loss, thought it was a top 25 team. With the loss to John Emery, I'm not sure that it is a top 25 team. We'll see what they can do in the weeks to come. My goodness. But if you're Brian Kelly, you can't catch a break. And in not being able to catch a break, slamming your fist on the table because y'all can't finish games. Yeah, all right, that's going to hurt even more, because if you were able to finish that game and keep USC underneath your thumb, this one doesn't feel as bad as it could otherwise. Now, I'm looking at the SEC schedule, and I'm trying to run through who does LSU have left that we thought maybe they were going to be able to be in a dogfight with, apart from, like team I already know they're going to be in a dogfight with Oklahoma. So they got Nichols on the 7th, and then South Carolina, then UCLA, South Alabama, and then it gets thick. They got they got Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma. And until last week, I was thinking Vanderbilt was a win. I'm not so sure anymore after what they were able to accomplish against Virginia Tech. I think you are going to get past Nichols just fine. You should be able to run your third string against Nichols. No disrespect to Nichols, it's just a talent advantage. South Carolina, they're plucky, but I don't know that they're any good. They were in a dogfight with Old Dominion last week, and I'm not sure what to make of that. Then you got UCLA, who I don't think is great, but, they're in a dogfight with Hawaii. You ought to be able to beat that team, given what they've shown so far. South Alabama, maybe there's something to them. I mean, it certainly isn't Kane Womack, South Alabama last year, that went up to Oklahoma State and got a 33-7 win. That's why he's defensive coordinator at Alabama now. Ole Miss, that one seems beyond you. Arkansas, we'll see. What they show me against Oklahoma State is going to show me a lot about what I expect for them against LSU. A&M, I think you can get by A&M after what I saw not happen on that offense, what Connor Wigman couldn't do against that defense, Notre Dame. I think Alabama, that's tough. That team looks really, really good. Florida, Billy Napier might be coaching for his job at that point, and LSU fans would like nothing more than to hand him that L. Vanderbilt, and then, of course, my Oklahoma. I think as we're getting into this, man, and we go further down the line, the John Emery effect is going to be felt. Either Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson are going to step up, and they're going to go be 1,100, 1,200-yard backs, or they're going to combine for something like 1,500 yards together, or we're going to watch LSU go off the rails. And after Brian Kelly has lost a third consecutive season opener and is mad about it, I'm not sure how they're going to bounce back. Now, last year they bounced back and won 10 games. You know what I'm saying? If they are not who we think they are, which is not a 10-win team at this point, then I need to see it. I need you to throw 70 up on Nichols. Make me feel better about this. Show me these running backs go for 200 yards as a combo against Nichols. That would make me feel better. But you also damn well better wrap them up in some sort of bubble wrap and make that transition quick, fast, in a hurry. Find Garrett Nussmeier some other opportunities to get the ball out of his hands, because if I know all I got to do is pin back my ears and come after your quarterback, that's what I'm going to do, whether or not you got the two best offensive tackles in the sport or not. And this is when the two best offensive tackles in the sport need to step up and show me exactly who they are, man. Like, that's what I'm about with this one. Show me that you can protect Garrett Nussmeier. Show me that you can throw the ball all over the yard when you want to. And then show me that Caleb Jackson and Josh Williams are the two kinds of tailbacks that I think they have the capability to be. And then we could talk about LSU perhaps competing for an SEC championship, because that's the only silver lining here. You ain't played no SEC games yet. Until you play SEC games and lose them, you're still very much in the fight. I'm still wrapping my head around just what John Emery could have done this year and how bad I feel for him. I hope he gets the medical red shirt. Feels like this would be a slam dunk for him at that point. But it is a man that deserves better than a second blown knee. But, I watched Michael Penix Jr. blow out 2 knees, come back and put together one of the best seasons by a Washington quarterback ever and get drafted in the first round to the Atlanta Falcons. I think that is something that John Emery's capable of. He has the talent. He has the talent. He has the wherewithal. He has the ability. I'm pulling for him already. Get the surgery. Get into rehab. Hit the weight room. Come back stronger. Lead LSU in 2025 if that's available to you. And then make it do what it do, baby. Like, you got the goods. I saw it against SC. I saw it against a big, strong SC program. You can play. We just got to get you back on a good foot and ready to go. All right. That's going to do it for me. Oh, no, it's not. Subscribe to the channel. Right fast. 66% of the people that watch this show, and there were like 500,000 people that watched this show over the last week, ain't subscribed to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. It costs nothing.